Hello and welcome to Heal Yourself Therapies. Here we are with Tiffany Ely. Hello, Tiffany.
Hi, how are you?
I'm absolutely well. Thank you for joining us, Tiffany. Tiffany, listen, tell us a little bit about yourself. We're going to get into why you're here, but just tell us a little bit about yourself and your life at the moment.
So I'm 33 years old. My name's Tiffany. I have four beautiful babies, and I'm married, and I'm living in Pennsylvania, United States.
Pennsylvania. Okay. Tiffany, now the reason that we're chatting, just for everybody to know, is that you've had a very different life, I suppose, compared to the normal. You've had a life of being born into a fundamentalist religion. Yeah. What religion was that?
I was born in the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Right. And were you second generation?
No, my family was first generation. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So tell us a little bit. Let's start in the past and we'll move forward in time. Tell us a little bit about what that was like to be born into a fundamentalist religion, which is very different to joining a religion, being born into it. What was life like? What does that look like to be in a fundamentalist religion?
Well, it's very controlled. So every aspect of your life is kind of handed to you on a platter. Um, it's it's something where you're not taught to really come up with a philosophy for life on your own. It's given to you. So a lot of things that you would maybe take for granted, like thinking about higher education, that was discouraged, or um, thinking about, even what you believe about your personal beliefs about faith and things like that. You're not really taught to believe that way. There's one way. This is what it is, and so you make decisions with that sort of tunnel vision in mind.
Sure, yeah. So in that respect, it kind of limits would you say limits your perception of or the width of your thought? You have quite narrow thinking, yeah? Or that's what you're taught.
Yes, yeah. It gives you a very limited mindset. To kind of like give a mental picture, I don't know if you've ever spilled activated charcoal. I know this is sounds weird, but if you've ever spilled that, it is incredibly hard to clean up. It just gets everywhere. I remember I dropped some the other day, and it was like, it took us like 3 weeks before we got it out of the vacuum, it just kept showing up. It was the stuff that just kept showing up. And I feel like it's the same thing when you grow up in that lifestyle. Every time you make a decision, you think you're free to make your decisions. You believe that, but it just keeps showing up. It's a thought that's always in your mind. Well, I can't do this because of X, Y, and Z.
Sure.
So you're never really free to make a decision. You're always hyper aware of what people are gonna, how people are going to view you. It's a very judgmental environment. And so it's kind of like the gift that just keeps on giving. You're not
Yeah.
completely free the way you imagine you are.
Okay. Well, that brings me to the next point. How did growing up as a fundamentalist believer, how did that affect relationships outside of the religion, with people outside of the religion?
I didn't really have much. And even when I did attempt to try to get to know people a little bit, there's always a fear that something's wrong with them, that they're going to try to lead me down a bad path, that they're not genuine. They're not. It was odd because you were always taught that everybody within that group, our group, was loving. And so even though I didn't feel this love that they talked about, I still felt like nobody else can show love the way these people can. And so it affected all the relationships because you weren't really giving people an open chance, a real chance to get to know them and form relationships.
Mm, mm. Did you find that you were kind of fearful of people who weren't witnesses?
Yes, yeah,
Mm.
definitely, because um, a lot of the propaganda that is shown is videos of people like in the worst circumstances, like they're all into drugs, and they're all having massive issues in their life, and their life is falling apart. They're joining gangs. And so the idea that they often use is that you're going to go back to your vomit. So I was like, I'm not going down that way because I don't want to go back to my vomit, whatever that is. It's not good. It's not good. So it does give you a very negative picture of what people in the world are like.
Yeah. Wow, you've just reminded me that was my father's favorite expression, like a dog returning to its own vomit. He used to say that over and over again. Yeah, wow. I mean, these are very strong programs that we're giving. Obviously, in the first 7 years of our life, that's when our life programs are made. And so when you get that repeatedly, and I know that in your religion, they repeat, don't they? They repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat the program. Yeah. Okay. So you went through that. You were married as a Jehovah's Witness as well. Yeah. And started the family as a Jehovah's Witness, and brought your children up as Jehovah's Witnesses at the beginning. But then something happened. What happened? Something changed.
It was very sudden, actually. It almost felt like an epiphany moment. But I always noticed the hypocrisy, the judgment, all these different things that I didn't like, that didn't feel right to me. But then all of a sudden, when I was going to the meetings, that's what they call the visiting the hall. When I started going to the meetings, I started feeling physically sick. And it would start right as I entered the driveway. I would start feeling physically sick. And I was like, this isn't right. This isn't right. But I kept trying to go because you're taught that this is the right thing to do. And then all of a sudden I started getting the sensation when I was in there that I was standing still and everyone around me was just moving really, really fast. And something inside me just said, this isn't right. If this is true, I should be feeling good when I'm here. And I don't feel good. I don't feel good. I feel worse when I by the end of it than I did when I went. And I was fine everywhere else. It was only when I was there. And then somebody that's very close to me asked me a question about the beliefs. And I was trying to give them the answer. I was giving them the standard answer, what you're taught to give them. And as I'm giving them the answer, I just had like a flashback to my childhood and asking that same exact question and not feeling like the answer was something that was fulfilling to me. And I just, at that moment, it just hit me like right there. And I said, you know what, if this is the truth, I'm going to find out whether it's the truth, no matter what it is. If it's not, then it's not. But if it is, the truth has nothing to be afraid of. And so from there, I gave myself permission to do the research. And it didn't take long for me to be like, I can't do this anymore from there.
Okay. So the research that you did, was that kind of online research that you did?
Yeah. And I remember just being blown away. I'm like, other people think like I do? Because I thought you're taught almost like you're crazy if you feel that way.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So then you did, sort of taking you through your timeline. Then you obviously saw that there was something wrong with the picture. Yeah. It wasn't tying up. But I know you had to make a big decision. The decision of leaving a fundamentalist religion, and particularly what we would call a cult, because this is a cult, yeah, means that when you leave, you pay a very high price, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you, and the price is that you're going to be shunned. Mm. How did you manage that? How did you work through that? How did you get to the point where you still decided to do it?
Well, I think I was kind of pushed to my edge. And then there was no way back. So I went through, looking back at it now, in terms of spirituality, I guess it would be considered like the dark night of the soul. After I realized it wasn't true, I'm like, I think I was 31 at the time. I'm like, I'm 31 years old and I've been living this lie. There was a lot of ideas about like the sunk cost fallacy. Well, I put this much in my life into it. I might as well keep going with this. And I just kept, then there were ideas like, if I can just spend the rest of my life faking it, everything will be okay. But you get to a point where you can't plaster that smile on your face anymore, where you just want to be authentic to who you are. So eventually, like I tried to like fade, which is pretty much like slowly stop making meetings, and I was pregnant at the time. So it was perfect because I was like, people were just assuming I was sick with the pregnancy. So I started kind of fading, not like raising my hands at the meeting, and things like that. But then I couldn't take it anymore because people kept asking me questions, reaching out to me, and I was lying all the time. And I didn't want to lie anymore. So right as this was all happening, we went into lockdown for the quarantine. And when you're by yourself a lot, you just reflect. And what do I really want to go back to? And I didn't want to go back there. I couldn't see myself going there again, pretending again. And I also realized nobody had reached out to me. I was like, so these friendships are very, I have a brand new baby. Excuse me. I have a brand new baby. No one's reaching out. This love is clearly not what they're saying it is. It's not just people, natural imperfection. It's a pattern of behavior at this point. So I after getting phone call after phone call, because I finally let my feelings out to somebody that was in the lead within the congregation, and that was it. Once I let my feelings out and I told them what my thoughts were, they did not stop calling me. And that's what pushed me over the edge. I just said, I can't do this anymore. I need to have peace from this. So it was a lot of healing, a lot of trying to work through things. And so I don't know if you want me to tell my story of what I did from there, but
you can kind of, I know you kind of made a decision and then you had to do something officially. How did you do that?
Well, ironically enough, I'm not even on social media anymore, really. But I made a post on Facebook, so it was public, and I did it that way for several different, more personal reasons that I can't share here. But I just felt like that was my best option to cut through any gossip, any people thinking I did something bad, and also I wanted people to know I still cared about them. So I tried to word my letter in a way that I let them know, like, I don't believe it, but I still respect you guys. And if you're open to a relationship, I would be open to it. Although I knew that wasn't going to happen at the time, but I tried. So I wound up posting it on that. And I remember the day I put it up, I just sat on the stoop of my porch and I was just like, my life is over. But I couldn't go back.
Yeah. What do you think gave you this, obviously for everyone who doesn't understand what happens when you leave the Jehovah's Witness organization, every single person shuns you, even your family. Yeah. And to some degrees and normally completely, quite often completely. So it's a very, it's almost like a total cutoff. Yeah. What gave you the strength to do that? You're a mum. Your husband's still a Jehovah's Witness. You've got children, young children. What gave you the strength? Where did you get the strength from?
Well, I did go seek help. I did, because I felt like I can't do this by myself. I got to a point where I just literally said, I have to speak to another person that sees the world in the same way I do. And if I don't speak to somebody, it's not going to be good. And I knew I wanted to be there for my kids. And if I was down emotionally, I couldn't be there for them. So that was my motivation to get up and moving. But it was a lot of deep inner work, a lot of working through how I got myself to the point that I did. How did I allow myself to allow these things into my life? So I had to be very introspective of the situation and then ultimately realizing that my integrity as a person and my truth was more important than the validation I was getting from even family.
Okay. I mean, obviously, there's a lot. I know the backstory to you, and there's also a lot of other people who were going through very similar things. I know that's the Jehovah's Witness organization is hemorrhaging people at the moment. People are just leaving in droves. So we're up to date. Sort of you left, you posted on Facebook and just waited for the world to collapse on top of you. But then because you were free, you started on a new path, didn't you? Kind of, if you want to call it, a new spiritual path. Talk to us about that. What's happened since then? Where have you gone to? What's your opinion of spirituality now?
Oh, that's a big question. Multiple things. It started actually when I left. Right before I left, I just said a prayer. I just was like, if this isn't the truth, show me what is. That was it. And I left it. I never thought about that prayer again. I just left it. Show me what is. And along this route, I also had the determination that I was going to speak to somebody that felt the same way I did. And it's funny how the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, works, because I found those people, I found those people. So between the connections with those people and conversations I had with them and continuing to search, I started heading actually into atheism. Right. That was my first route. So I had stopped really even searching for God. I said, that's it. It's, it is what it is. I'm going to be an atheist. You know what I mean? And I realized I wasn't connected to the Bible the way I was anymore. And so I just went along, but I was in the midst of all this, I was practicing meditation, but I wasn't practicing it with the idea that anything was going to come of it, that I was going to be connected in a spiritual way at all. I was just doing it for relaxation, for like mindfulness, for stress because of what I was dealing with. And I had a moment where I felt a presence, a calm, a warmth, and like pure love. And from there, it kind of, I don't know where you want to go from there, but from there, it kind of took off.
Okay. So that happened through meditation where you kind of almost as though you were contacted, yeah? Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So that was the start, kind of, you meditating. Where is that? What I'm after is what has changed in your perception of where we're going to, what spirituality is, what's changed for you? What do you believe now?
Well, I don't believe that anybody has the 100% total truth, but certain things that came to me immediately and that have never left me and are kind of like my anchoring points is the fact that we're all from one source. We're all connected. So we all have to love one another. We're all meant to help people. I got the strong feeling like I have to help other people. And I see us moving towards a positive future. It's going to take some work and changing of mindsets, but that's what I see. And I know that we all are going back to source. So those, and that's a huge shift from what my picture was before, sure. Which is one very tunnel vision. I feel the plan is so much bigger than what we were taught, than what I was taught.
Yeah. Absolutely it is. It's enormous. You've talked about a couple of things, because you mentioned helping, right? And this for me, it's a very powerful word, that we're here to help. Mm-hmm. And I know in my videos I talk about service to others and how for us to move forward, to even move vibration, we must be in service to others. We must be helping others. And I know you were talking to me about a couple of ideas that you've got, which sounded really good, because I was getting excited when you were talking about them. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you would like to do, or what you're thinking about doing, and how you're going to be able to help?
Well, I do want to eventually start some nonprofits, because I really feel like, I'm trying to find the right words. So I want to start two nonprofits. I want to start one for homeless people, but where they are treated with dignity and respect and given the tools to start a new life. I've thought a lot about how people are treated And when they're in those situations, almost like they're lesser than, Yeah. And I feel like when you keep people low like that, sometimes they can't see a way out. They just think that it's going to stay that way. So a different kind of treatment where they're set up with the tools for healing, therapy, job training and different things, so that they aren't just given some food and sent on their way. They're given the tools to start a new life, to do better. And also I would love to start a nonprofit for single moms, single parents who don't have support. Something that not only can they get help maybe with taking care of their children, but also for self-care. I often think about these parents that they're being told, oh, well, why aren't you doing this for your kids? Why aren't you doing better for your kids? But they're not given any support. And part of that support is having some time where you can take care of yourself. So providing services in which they can have basic self-care, so that they can be in a better place, not just financially take care of their kids, but also emotionally to be able to show up every day when you're in those circumstances. So those are two of my ideas. I also would like to start a YouTube channel, help people who are dealing with difficult circumstances to see how they can find their way out, that they don't have to stay stuck in that dark place.
Sure. Okay. That's the excellent ideas, and I think the world is in serious need of some healing and some TLC. Yeah,
that's true.
Great ideas. Just to finish, lots of I talk a lot about meditation, and I know how it's worked very well for you, and I know that you are using also the kind of yes/no communication with whatever you want to call it, spirit, higher self, whatever. Yeah. Could you give us any tips on, because lots of people are kind of trying meditation, but it's not quite working for them, or what would you suggest to them? What's the best way forward to get into meditation? What did you do?
Well, I started out with guided meditations. That's how it started out, because I couldn't sit still for that long and just not have something going on in my mind. So I started out with that, but then gradually I realized I wanted to go a little deeper. So I just started with a timer, and I started with 5 minutes. I was like, I can try to focus on my breath for 5 minutes. Anybody can do 5 minutes. And I just started with 5 minutes, and gradually I increased it. So the next week I would do 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then now, I have kids, so I try to just manage my time. So now it's up to 20 minutes that I try to do a day. But that's what I would say is try to start off slow and build yourself up and just focus on your breath. Yeah. And it becomes, actually by the end, when my timer goes off now, I'm like 20 minutes has gone by already. It feels like a minute, So it gets easier as time goes on.
Excellent advice. Excellent. And I often say I'm a crap meditator. The reason I didn't meditate ever was because I was just so overwhelmingly difficult, to even quieten my mind. So it isn't something I was particularly good at, but I just find that in these times, it's getting easier, even for those who haven't got that skill, to be able to get in touch with. I believe that we have so much help now, the kind of just waiting for us to even just quieten the mind a little bit, So yeah, like you, I recommend everybody just to do it. And that's a great idea. Set it for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We can do 5 minutes. Can't we? We can do 5 minutes. Okay. Tiffany, this has been absolutely fascinating. Thank you very much for spending some time with us and sharing your story. I know that it's, we really haven't got into the story. It's a big story, and there's a lot of things that you've gone through. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And also the fact that you share the idea that mankind is going to get to a good place. There's hope. There is hope.
Oh yeah, I know it.
And quite often when you've come from a very bad experience, it gives you the strength to move forward and to move to better. Yeah. So, I wish you every success in your projects. Go for them because they sound like fabulous projects, and just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. Okay. And we'll speak to you again, maybe in the future when you've moved a little bit further down the path. Yeah. Tiffany.
Thank you.
And if once you set up your YouTube channel, I'll put the link here so that people can follow you as well, for those who would want to. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's my pleasure.
You're welcome. You're welcome.